Red Dead Redemption 2 was an open-world action-adventure game set in a fictionalized version of the western states of America in 1899 during the decline of the Wild West. Developed and published by Rockstar Games, it took almost 8 years before finally releasing on the 26th of October 2018, and has won numerous awards including Best Audio Design, Best Performance, Best Soundtrack and Best Narrative at the Video Game Awards of 2018. The core gameplay revolves around a wide variety of weaponry consisting of pistols, repeaters, rifles, shotguns, bows, throwing knives, dynamite, hatchets, and many more. Your horse also plays a vital role throughout the game, as it is not only your trusty steed of transportation, but a friend you can bond with over time. By doing so will allow new abilities and stat increases for your horse, which will also benefit the player in and out of combat. Now when it comes to the animations in Red Dead Redemption 2, it can be quite subjective. Many don't like the slow, methodical and very deliberate nature of the animations, and I can understand why. Because although I argue it adds tension, significance and believability to the game, there are also moments that hold it back, especially when it comes to simple actions like picking an object up or moving in an enclosed space. One of the most surprising aspects of the game is the element of role-playing in a survival gameplay orientation. You have to hunt, skin, cook and eat your meals to sustain your health core. You have to eat more nutritious food or drink tonics along with exercising to replenish, sustain and grow your stamina core. And you have to improve your Deadeye core and use tonics to replenish it. You can also rest at camp or sleep the night to replenish your cores. This is one of my favourite mechanics in Red Dead Redemption 2, and it adds a lot more importance to the notion of survival and a lot more significance to player agency. Your horse also has health and stamina cores that can be replenished by feeding, brushing the horse, and growth over time by bonding with it. Your horse is also a portable weapon cache, so you can receive your weapons from the horse and switch them out at any time you like. There are many shops in the game, ranging from the stables where you can store your horse, customise them or even customise your saddle, tailors for outfits and individual clothing items, gunsmiths for guns, upgrades, accessories, customisation and personalisation, general store for goods such as food, tonics, accessories and clothing, a hotel for rest and bathing. Yes, you can have a bath in this game. A saloon for drink and food. Then you can also get barbers where you can customise your hair, facial hair and pomade your hair. You can get a butcher where you can buy and sell meat and pelts. A trapper where you can sell pelts and buy high quality outfits. A fence, which is basically a 19th century backhand pawnee for jewels and valuables as such. And a post office where you can pay off bounties. The world of Red Dead Redemption 2 is vast, varied and versatile in habitat, terrain, towns and villages. Cattle, wildlife, weather systems and people that live there. Everything is complex and dynamic. The terrain varies from snowy mountains, peaks, green valleys, lush forests, boggy swamps, great plains and unforgiving deserts. There are many towns in the game, ranging from a few buildings in a street to a fully fledged city located further east called Saint Denis. There are over 200 unique animal species that range from small birds to big birds, rabbits, squirrels, wolves, bears, bucks, deers, sheep, cows, snakes, insects, fish, armadillo, badgers, bats, crabs, alligators, cats, dogs, you name it. It's a complex ecosystem. The world is also filled with many NPCs just living their lives day to day. You'll see riders on the trail, coach drivers delivering goods to the next town, workers of all types doing their business, a public hanging organised by the sheriff, or even an ambush waiting for you around the bend. You'll even find random encounters. For instance, I found a man who caught himself in a bear trap, the fool, and I could have either walked away or left him to die, antagonised him prior to leaving, shot him and robbed him, helped him and robbed him, or be a good honest outlaw and do the right thing. So I did the right thing. I helped him out the bear trap, gave him some whiskey for the pain, and off I went. A few hours later I rode by for some supplies, and there he was, sitting on a bench outside the gunsmith, and offered me a weapon on his account.
I said it so right. Really got me.
You taking credit for the quality of the trap?
I'm just saying that if there were a bear that got trapped in it, it would have been trapped real good.
Yeah, but you trapped your own damn self instead, didn't you?
You know, I sure hope it don't happen to you someday.
Whoa now.
The audio is phenomenal, from the sound of breaking clouds in the distance to the snapping of small sticks in the woods and the galloping drum that is your horse. The music, the score composed by Woody Jackson, is breathtaking and varies from upbeat light-hearted songs to more somber, deeper tracks. Each song holds its own in an already stellar soundtrack that truly makes you feel like you're in the Wild West. The story consists of a unique group of individuals brought together by a man named Dutch van der Linde under the assumption of a common interest, that being survival, which becomes immediately apparent the moment you start the game. The van der Linde gang are on the run from the law preceded by a robbery gone wrong. Forced into the mountains, the protagonist Arthur Morgan is tasked with keeping the group safe for a short time until Dutch comes up with a plan. That plan being to rob the train of a wealthy businessman, then head south to prepare for the last big score. Arthur and the gang then rob the train with little resistance, yet it looms on the horizon as you find out a detective agency is on the hunt for you and the gang. Dutch's plans for the last big score become a recurring theme throughout the game, alongside the underlying plot revolving around the decline of the Wild West, with civilization ever encroaching adds a layer of depth to the world, characters and the overall narrative seldom seen in most games.
Stupid. We have turned a corner. We survived them mountains. We just need to stay calm.
Well, at least it ain't your job.
Shut up, Arthur.
Yeah, your job's
Following
starting
Dutch
to fly.
southward, Arthur and the gang arrive outside a small town and create a campsite. This is where you can eat, drink, sleep, shave, customise clothing, craft items and upgrade the camp. This is where the game really opens up and allows you to get to know your gang for the first time. By pressing the interaction button you can greet and talk to your individual members or antagonise your gang. This is where the world starts to feel believable, allowing NPCs to react to your appearance and behaviour, whilst offering new missions depending on your relationship with the characters, of which your gang has a total of 23 members to interact with.
Morgan, I love you. Come on, take a shot. Come on, take your best shot, please.
After a myriad of blood and bullets, Arthur and the gang is once again forced to flee further south. This is when Arthur and many of the members of the gang start to doubt Dutch's leadership. Arthur Morgan was taken in by Dutch when he was 15 and sees Dutch like a father, so it creates conflicting feelings not only in Arthur's mind but in the players, because all we know about Dutch is that he's a very bespoke, charming and charismatic leader, and Arthur, along with many other gang members, has been loyal no matter the odds.
Arthur Morgan, van der Linde's most trusted associate. You've read the files. Typical case. Orphaned street kid seduced by that maniac's silver tongue and matures into a degenerate murderer. Agent Milton, Agent Ross. Pinkerton Detective Agency, seconded to the United States government. Nice to finally meet.
Arthur is initially presented to us as a one-dimensional character with dry humour and little to no remorse or empathy, but over time starts to show cracks and vulnerabilities that create depth in his personality and that grow as the story develops. Dutch's big plan is to make enough money by any means necessary so the gang can head back west and settle on their own land. But as the law draws closer and the gang is pushed further east, on the doorstep of civilization, the last big score seems to be like nothing more than a pipe dream. After many intense missions including bank robberies, heists, train robberies, flying a hot air balloon over a prison to break out a fellow gang member, getting into bar fights, the usual outlaw activity, the gang finds themselves just a short ride away from Saint Denis, a beautiful, intricately detailed, heavily populated and well realised centre of civilization in the region. This gives the player opportunities for new missions, optional missions, activities such as blackjack, poker and a whole new environment to explore. As more pressure is applied to the gang, many members are killed in robberies and some choose to leave. This has a great impact on Arthur and the player, as many of the fallen gang members have a strong relationship with Arthur, and at the same time he becomes ever closer with his once beloved Mary, a woman of the past that he still loves and cares for but has to resist due to his lifestyle and responsibility to the gang. It is around this time of the high stakes that Rockstar really hits you right in the heart.
We ain't a charity, Mr. Downs.
Just as you start to get to know Arthur and really resonate with him, he passes out in Saint Denis, and after a visit to the doctor learns that he has contracted tuberculosis, a deadly disease with only one outcome. Now, prior to this point in the story, you have an honour system determined by good or bad decisions. I chose to be a bit of a loose cannon in the beginning, but hour after hour I started relating to Arthur and becoming quite honourable. So when I was hit with the news that Arthur was sick, I wanted to be the most honourable person possible. Although you can choose to be dishonourable, which can lead to different opportunities and outcomes. Arthur soon realises their time is over. Dutch is losing his mind, the gang's fallen apart, the law along with civilization is all around them, and it seems there's no escape. Now this is my favourite and equivocally one of the most significant parts of the game. More and more totally missable optional missions appear, and you have the autonomy to either continue on the golden path or deviate into the world and its characters. This is where the game truly shines, because unlike most games, the optional missions feel as real and as important as the main missions. One strand of optional missions stands out above the rest, and spans across the entire game. Earlier in the story, one of your campmates is a moneylender who asks you to collect debt money for several people, by any means necessary of course. You find a man named Thomas Downs, who is a very sick farmer and struggling to pay. You then proceed to beat him up and threaten his family. Upon your return, Miss Downs informs you that you've beat her husband to death, and now they're forced to move town. Arthur takes some money and valuables, then leaves. Many hours later, you see Miss Downs in Saint Denis, where she has been forced into prostitution due to her financial instability inherently caused by Arthur Morgan. Now, after seeing the repercussions of my actions, I started to feel really guilty.
Thomas!
What are you looking at?
Thomas!
I said, what you looking at, woman?
My husband isn't well. If we could just have more...
Like I said, we ain't nobody's idea of charity. Get us the money.
Arthur now knows what is coming, and begins to really change his ways by helping people instead of robbing and killing folk. The gang has moved camp further north, and is in the nearby town of Ansburg. Arthur again finds Miss Downs, looking beat up and far more withdrawn from last time. He offers to help her, but she is reluctant at first, then accepts through sheer desperation. You give her some money for a place to stay for the night. She then asks you if you could save her son from the mines, who has been forced to live and work there. After reuniting what's left of the Downs family, you then give them enough money to leave aboard a ship and start a new life. This is such a heartwarming moment because the son is ecstatic, repeating his thanks over and over and over again. Arthur tells him he deserves no such thanks, for the guilt still weighs heavy in his mind for what he did to his father. And then off they go, and Arthur is one step closer to redemption. Now this is really one of the most important side missions in the whole game, and I think the irony of it is the fact that Mr. Downs, the man he killed, was also the man who gave him tuberculosis, which is also the reason he has this change of heart. And this dynamic throughout the whole game is really the best part of the game for me.
We can't change what's done. We can only move on.
Throughout the game, Arthur also develops a strong bond with John Marston, a long-serving member of the gang who was also taken under Dutch's wing from a very young age. Arthur holds a bit of a grudge for John, as he's young, irresponsible, and in Arthur's own words, the lucky one. John and his partner Abigail have a son, yet John is reluctant to raise him as he doesn't believe he is the father. Yet over time, Arthur helps John realise he has to be better and take care of his family. Arthur sees a lot of himself in John, and as the stakes become greater around them, he warns him of what's to come. Dutch over time then becomes paranoid and is certain of a conspiracy to overthrow him. And after the last big score, he really starts to surface as John is shot and left for dead. Dutch does not seem to care. Shortly after, John's partner Abigail is kidnapped by the agency. Arthur Morgan is then tasked with going after her when the rest of the gang couldn't care less. This is the last straw for Arthur, and after finding out an opposing gang member, Micah, has been conspiring with the detective agency, he sends Abigail to a safe place with her son and takes his last ride back to camp.
Arthur and Arturo. How perfect.
Get out of here.
The many miles we walk, the many things we learn, the building of a shrine, only just to burn. That's the way it is. That's the way
just wish you'd done it before he worked himself into the grave.
I'm really sorry for you, son. It's a hell of a thing.
And all you can do now is decide the man you want to be for the time you have left.
Confronting Dutch and the remaining gang members, Arthur lays down the truth about how the lawmen have caught up with them, with information from an insider, Micah. Then John Marston appears wounded and yelling at Dutch for leaving him to die. Dutch replies with denial. Then a ruckus breaks out as everyone is aiming at each other, ready to shoot. Dutch then unholsters his firearms and screams, "Who was with me and who was betraying me?" It seems Arthur and John are outnumbered when the lawmen show up. Arthur and John then hold them off for a short while until fleeing up the mountain. Whilst outrunning the law, your horse is killed, as another bond is severed, adding even more of an emotional impact to the sequence.
Thank you. Arthur!
Further and further you trudge up the rocky mountain, holding off lawmen along the way, until Arthur, too sick to run and unable to go on, stops John and tells him to take care of his family and live the life that Arthur could not. This is a very emotional moment as Arthur gives John his hat, acknowledging the end is near.
No, I think I've pushed all I can. Come on, you go.
We ain't got time for this, not now.
We ain't both gonna make it. Go. Now, I'll hold them off. It would mean a lot to me. Please.
John then escapes. Alone with no hope of survival, Arthur defends his position on the mountain until Micah interrupts him with a blow to the face. We fight it out for some time until both bodies are battered and bruised. Laying on the floor with what little breath Arthur has left, he mutters,
Don made it. He's the only one.
That's when Dutch creeps upon you after losing the lawman.
Rest of us.
Micah urges Dutch to flee with him, but Dutch is stunned, as the man he once raised like a son lays beneath him. Micah pleads with him, but Dutch just walks away. As the player assumes the guilt of his decisions, the once charismatic leader is now lost for words.
Let's go. We can make it.
Arthur crawls to the cliff face with every last bit of strength he's got left in him, lays against it, and takes his very last breath as he watches the sun rise one last time, knowing he attained redemption.
Stand unshaken amidst the crash of words.
Red Dead Redemption 2 took me over 70 hours of gameplay to complete, and to summarise everything into a short essay was extremely challenging. But overall I would say that it is a flawed yet remarkable technical achievement in not only storytelling but world building, character development, player agency and the investment in this rich, detailed, immersive world. It has its drawbacks. The gameplay isn't quite as polished as the rest of the game, and animations can be clunky and unresponsive at times.
Shit, indeed.
But with all that covered, not forgetting the groundbreaking, award-winning soundtrack that just rips right through the soul, I would say Red Dead Redemption 2 is a masterpiece.
Things have been tough. There ain't no doubt about that. Trust me. I am gonna get us out of here.